Welcome to today's class on Dotloop 201. My name is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing, and I'll be taking you through today a little more of the advanced Dotloop tips, tricks, and time savers. So today's class is a little more fast-paced than the Dotloop 101 video. If you are new to Dotloop, I would recommend watching the Dotloop 101 video first, which can be found on slmtraining.com. So we'll be moving a little quicker today. I will be assuming that you have used Dotloop at least a couple times before. I'll be teaching you some tricks and tips to make your Dotloop experience a little more effective and a little more efficient. So first thing that you'll want to do to log into your Dotloop account is, of course, go to mykw.kw.com. And that's where I am on my screen here. So again, that is mykw.kw.com. And you'll want to go ahead and put in your username and password here. Just a heads up, the username is not case sensitive, however your password is. That does require a capital letter and number for that matter. Alright, so if you're not sure of what this mykw username and password is, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com and they can help you get that password so you can follow along in today's class. And we'll go ahead and click login. If you do run into this error message, this has been an error message that's been going on since KWRI did an update maybe about a month ago, I want to say. If you do ever run into that, which you might not, all you'll need to do to get past that is go up to the top of your URL bar here, type in mykw.kw.com again, click enter. It will refresh your page and bring you back to the MyKW home screen right away. So just a quick tip on that if you do run into that. Nothing too alarming there. So logging into MyKW is, of course, where you'll go to log in to access all of your online tech tools for KW. So this is where your database sits in the View Contacts section. Your marketing material sits in here. This is where the back end of your website sits to edit that further. But in today's class, we'll be focusing on Dotloop specifically. And so I'd like to direct your attention to where it says My Transactions on this top center E-Edge control panel box. Right, you'll see and hear Dotloop referred to as both Dotloop and My Transactions, not to be confusing. But we'll want to go ahead and click that blue link that says Start My Transactions right under there. And it should let you into your Dotloop account without further password. Now this is the best way to get into Dotloop, because it's one less password you have to remember, but also if you are trying to do green sheets from your Dotloop account, you will have to log in this way through your MyKW account to be able to submit a green sheet through your Dotloop account. Just a heads up, that's the only way it will work. So this is definitely the best way to get into Dotloop. However, you can of course log into Dotloop at dotloop.com directly. There is a mobile app for Android and iPhone users, so feel free to check those out. Download those, great for your iPad or Android tablet if you're on the go and need your clients to sign something right next to you. Now, as you get into your Dotloop account, the main thing you'll want to note before moving forward with class is you will need to see the KW logo on the top left, and you'll want it to say Premium up here. And if your Dotloop home screen looks slightly different than mine, don't panic. I'll be showing you in just a moment here how to all get to the same home screen here. And I'll come back to this KW Premium, what we want to see here, and how to get that fixed if you're not seeing that. So if you are not seeing the same Dotloop home screen as I am on my screen, this is the new Dotloop home screen that Dotloop rolled out, I want to say within the last couple months here. So it does look slightly different. If yours does not look like this, let me show you how to get on over to what I'm looking at. So if you are looking at what I'm looking at on my screen, great, hold tight. If not, so on the top right of your screen, you will see either your headshot in a circle or perhaps your initials in a circle on the top right of your Dotloop account. And if you click on that, you'll notice the option to switch to old Dotloop. So if you click there where it says switch to old Dotloop, it will take you back to the original Dotloop home screen. And if you've been with KW for a little while, it's probably what you're used to. All right, so if we click on switch to old Dotloop, I'm just going to show you what the old screen looked like. If this is what you were looking at, this is the original Dotloop home screen. All right, so just to make sure that you can follow along with today's class and learn the new home screen, all you'll need to do to switch over to that is simply click on this slightly blacker toolbar on the very top of your screen. and you'll need it to say click here for early access to new and improved loops page. So let's simply go ahead and click here. So go ahead and click here just to make sure we're all on the same page and we're all on the same Dotloop homepage. Now I know if you've been with KW for a little while and you're used to that old Dotloop home screen, I know it's very frustrating once you learn a whole system and then they go and change it on you. Well, the good news on that is the new Dotloop home screen is very, very similar to the old one. All the navigation is really the same. They just really changed the look of the Dotloop home screen. So I know that made me feel better once I found that out. Also, if you were to click in any of your loops, it will take you back to the normal Dotloop view that you're used to seeing with that red and black, right? So it's just purely the home screen that they've changed up on you. But I'll be showing you a little bit about the home screen today to hopefully make you feel more comfortable with it. While we're on that, again, KW logo on the top left, it needs to say premium as well on the top left. If you are not seeing those two items, that means your Dotloop account is not connected to your Market Center and you will not be able to access all of your Market Center forms. If that is the case on your account, if you are not seeing the KW logo premium on the top left, go ahead and email support@scottleroymarketing.com and let them know, and they can connect you right away so you can follow along with class. And with that in mind, let me go ahead and email out our support email address just so you guys have that. support@scottleroymarketing.com. We aim to answer all our emails within 5 minutes or less, so during business hours, so we do respond really quickly. Great way to reach out to us. So let's talk about the best way of organizing our Dotloop home screen here. Now again, all the navigation is very simple, similar to the old view. However, as you start to use Dotloop for a while and sell lots of homes, you're going to have lots of loops, and that can often get a bit overwhelming when you're trying to find a loop quickly. So we don't necessarily want all of our loops on this home page at all times. So to address that, a couple things here. You will notice there is a search bar at the top of your screen here, so you can quickly search for the address, the title of the loop, MLS number, etc. All right, so that'll help you quickly find the loop. But more in depth on that, if you look on the right hand side of that search bar, you'll see a filters option. Okay, that filters button here, really, really helpful. All right, so if you click on that, we'll start at the top here so I can explain a bit of this to you. So archiving your loops. There is no deleting anything in the system. You can't delete forms, you can't delete loops. So if you ever feel like, oh no, I lost a loop, rest assured it is there. You can't delete it. So you can only archive the loop. And it's great to be able to archive your loops if you created a test loop that you no longer want to look at, or maybe the loop terminated, or you accidentally created it, right? For whatever reason, if you ever want to archive the loop, you can do so by simply clicking on where it says archive on the loop. So you'll notice now on your loop, it does give you the option to simply archive right here. And when I click that, it tells me it's archived here, and it gives me the option to unarchive. So I know that's archived. Now it won't just automatically disappear. You will need to come back up to filters up here, and you'll need to select to hide the archived, okay? And once you refresh, that will go away, just a heads up. But it will give you the option, if you ever feel like you lost your loop, you can show all of your loops here, and that will make that display back for you. Okay, so you can click all, click apply here. It will give you all of your loops so that you can find your loop you're missing right away. So archiving loops, really important for organization of your Dotloop home screen. Other thing I'd really like to focus on in this filters option, that filters button on the top right, is the loop status. Really helpful in organizing your loop. You'll notice right here all the different statuses that you can possibly have in your loop. Okay, and where you adjust those loop statuses is actually right here on the Dotloop home screen. So you'll notice on your loop here, first of all, you'll notice it says type. All right, you have to adjust the type first before it will allow you to adjust the status. Okay, you'll notice some of my loops do have a type first and then the status. This loop specifically, I need to adjust the type first. So where it says none, I can change that to listing for sale or purchase, for example, whichever one of these applies. So let's say this is a purchase. Now, once I alter the type, right? And you'll notice that once I alter the type, it only then gives me the option to adjust the status. And this is where we're focusing on that helps with organization. So you can then adjust the status of, let's say it's sold, drawn, terminated, okay, whatever the case might be, under contract, pre-offer, so forth. So let's say it's sold. So now when I come up to filters on the top right of my Dotloop home screen, again, you might have to scroll down slightly, but you will see these loop statuses. Typically, we don't need to be seeing our sold loops. We don't need to be seeing our withdrawn loops or our terminated loops, right? Those are done. We no longer need those. So you can just check the checkboxes for the statuses that you do want to display on your Dotloop home screen and leave those that are sold, done, terminated, withdrawn, okay, it's up to you, unchecked. All right, so let's say. So once you adjust that, and only if you make a change here will it give you the option to apply that filter on the bottom right. All right, so once I click apply, oh, let's take one off. Once I click apply, it will then make that loop disappear. Okay, so that first loop has now disappeared because I marked that as sold. But of course, you can always come back up here to filters to get that back by clicking sold. Okay, and you can also clear. That's a really great thing to note. If you ever lose a loop, and if you are taking notes on today's class, I'll mention noteworthy items. If you ever lose a loop, all you need to do is come up to filters on the very top of your screen, click clear on the very bottom left of that drop down. It will make all your loops display so you can use the search bar right away. Okay, so again, if you ever lose a loop, I promise this will come in handy. It's the worst feeling. Filters, click clear on the bottom left, and then it will show you all of your loops right away. Okay, so just a quick tip on that. Just a couple more things on the Dotloop home screen, and then we'll get started on a practice loop. On the right-hand side, you do have the option to sort, to alter that. So there are different sort options here. My personal favorite is the last updated, so that will put the loop that you were last working on at the top, which I think makes the most sense, but of course you can see a whole bunch of different options of how you can sort your Dotloop home screen. This arrow to the right of those sort options will toggle it from ascending or descending order. So if you click last updated and select that, it would toggle the homepage view for your loops on ascending or descending order based on this criteria. And last but not least, we do have this icon on the very far right here that looks like a list, and that will just change how your loops are displaying on your homepage here. So this list view will simply do that. Change it to a list view here. All the functionality is still the same. It just simply puts it in a list, and you can always toggle it back to these 4 icons that looks like a square to go back to the grid view here. So it's simply what makes you happier, really. It's totally up to you on that. All right, and one last thing I do want to point out, since this is the more advanced class, there is now a texting feature in Dotloop, and this is brand new. Last few weeks, I want to say. And you'll notice on the very left-hand side, there is a little speech bubble now popping out in blue on your screen. So play around with this. If you were to click here, it will allow you to actually text your clients and keep a file of those texts right from here. So you could click that icon that looks like a pencil writing on a pad. It will search all of your contacts. Okay, so you can click one of those options and start texting them right away. So play around with it. I would definitely suggest doing your phone first, or maybe your spouse's or friend's phone first, so play around with that. It will text from a phone number that's not your personal phone number. It will text from a Dotloop phone number. But again, the main benefit I found from it is it does keep a record of all your texts right in your loop here. So play around with it. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Just a quick overview on that new feature there. Now on the right-hand side, and of course, by the way, when I say texting, I mean to their cell phone. Just heads up. All right, so now let's start and create a practice loop so we can get into the other fun features of Dotloop. So on the top right, let's go ahead and click on Add Loop, that big blue button there on the top right. All right, so I clicked on Add Loop on the very top right here. And the first thing I'll do is you'll have to name your loop. Typically, you'll need to name that the property address if at all possible. If If you're representing the buyer, I know you won't know the loop name right out the gate. No worries, it's easy to change. But in today's class, let's go ahead and start typing in the property address. You can put in 123 practice loop, 123 Main Street, your home address, whatever you'd like. It's really great to have a practice loop in your account so you can practice Dotloop features before trying that in front of your client so it looks like you know what you're doing. Definitely pretty helpful. All right, let's talk about what the suggestions do that pops down when you start typing in an address. I'm sure you've wondered about that. And since this is a little more of an advanced feature, so bear with me on this, but this is a pretty cool thing that Dotloop has that I find that not many people know about. So first of all, in the most basic sense, what it does is it will automatically pull all information from this property from Google or from Dotloop. So all the public information into your loop, like the property address or any property information that is public information, to help it auto-populate on your forms. So it does save you time because, again, that pulls in the information about that property into your loop so it can auto-fill on all your forms. All right, but a little more advanced about what this does. So you will notice as you start to type in a property address, some of the listing options pop down. You'll notice that where the source is Dotloop, the MLS number, and then the listing agent. Okay, so if I am a buyer's agent making an offer on this listing right here, if I were to select this loop right here, again, it would take in all the property information. But aside from that, it would also link my loop to the listing agent's loop in a certain way. Okay, now it still keeps everything private in your loop, so don't worry about that. But if you've been using Dotloop for a little while, you may have run into an issue where an agent using Dotloop makes an offer on your listing and it creates a whole nother loop in your account. So now you have two loops, the loop you started, and now the loop of the agent making an offer in your account. So two loops for the same property, very annoying, very aggravating. Okay, if I were to select one of these options from the drop-down, it would link my loop to this listing agent's loop so that when I made an offer to that listing agent, it would not create a second loop in that account. It would actually put that offer right into that listing agent's loop under a new folder. So it would automatically create a new folder, name something like the property address with the listing agent's name. Okay, so again, it's a very cool feature. It does link your loop to the listing agent so that it avoids a two-loop situation. If that's not clear, I did create a video, a 10-minute video on that specifically. If you would like that video that goes in further on that, feel free to email support@scottloraymarketing.com. Put attention my name, which is Leah, and I can send that over to you. All right, so to continue with today's class, hopefully that was clear. If you have questions on that, of course, let me know. I know that's a little confusing, but really helpful if you know that. So I'm going to go ahead and name my loop and click continue on the bottom right here. All right, and after clicking continue on the bottom right, it will take me to the template section. Okay, so it'll give me this drop down here to select a loop template. Now these templates are added in by your office staff, so if you do not have any templates, there's nothing wrong with your account. Your office staff just doesn't use those in your market center, no problem. If you do have templates in this drop down, it's a really handy tool. What it will do, if you were to select one of these options from here, it will pull in all the forms, all the initial documents that you need to get going on your transaction. Okay, so it'll create folders, add initial forms, so you don't have to go looking for those forms to add. So really handy tool. If you do have one of those options, you can select that. However, just to make sure we're on the same page, I'm going to leave that unselected and click continue on the bottom right. Photo here. So it does prompt us to upload a photo, and that puts the photo on the very top of your loop. All right, if you take the time to put this photo in, Dotloop indicates that your client will be 5 times more likely to use you again or refer you out. So that's a pretty interesting stat there. So let me show you how to add that photo in and why that is so handy once that's added. So if I were to click upload a photo, it will browse my computer. So in theory, I would have already gone to the MLS and saved a photo of the listing. Let's say that your clients are purchasing. Save that to your computer. You can then click on upload a photo and it will browse your computer. You can then double click on the photo on your computer and we'll add that in. Okay. And the reason I think that stat is so high is because your clients feel like, wow, that agent created a personalized website for me to sign the form. And if they're purchasing a home, they're obviously really excited about the home that they're purchasing. So seeing that home on the top of forms that they're signing is a really exciting feeling. So definitely worth, you can see that took about 30 seconds to add that in maybe. So definitely worth that time if that stat does stand true. So you can add that in. Just heads up, you can't move this around. It is what it is. It's just a little sliver of the photo. And then I can click done. All right, so I clicked on done on the bottom right. Sorry, that was a little fast. There's a blue button that says done on the bottom right. And it will take you to your loop that you have created, where I can simply click on the loop, okay, the square right here, or I can click view loop on the bottom right to access that loop right away. And that will take you right into your loop. Now, as you access your loop, the very first thing that you'll want to do, okay, because I know you want to get this done as quickly as possible, okay, it's all about time-sensitive time-sensitive documents with real estate. So the first thing you'll want to do is add your clients to the loop. And the quickest way to do so is to scroll down on your screen here to the people section at the bottom of your screen. Okay, so we will want to add in a practice client to our loop here so that we can practice with them in this loop. Just a heads up, you will always see your admin in this people section and yourself. And again, if you are taking notes in today's class, please note what your Dotloop email address is. It is super important that you know what your Dotloop email address is, and that if any other agents share a form with you in Dotloop, that they share it to this email address specifically. Okay. And on the topic of notes, I do have notes for today's class. So let me go ahead and send that out to everyone. It's a link to the notes in Google Drive, so you can access those. They're Dotloop 101 and then the 201 notes are on the second page. If you are watching this class recorded, feel free to email me at support@scottleroymarketing.com and put attention to my name, which is Leah, L-E-A-H, and I'd be happy to send that to you. All right, so as you might have guessed, and as you're probably comfortable with, we'll go ahead and click Add Person on the very bottom of this People section here. You will need to put in 3 main things, and that will be their full name, their email address, and the role. So for the email address for right now, if you'd just like to put in a personal email address you have, so one that's not connected to your Dotloop account, you certainly can. It's great to practice with that so you can see what it looks like from a client's view. Of course, for full name, you can just put in John Smith if you're not feeling particularly creative, or put in your favorite TV star, movie star, make it a little fun. All right, so we need full name, email address, and then role here. So under role, you will need to select if this is the buyer or seller. There are a whole bunch of roles here, and the role is hugely, hugely important if you want your client to electronically sign. They will not be able to electronically sign without selecting a role. So in this case, we're going to practice with a listing. So I'm going to select seller. And when I select the role, it does give me a whole bunch of other fields to fill in. These are not necessary. You don't have to fill out these fields. However, if you do, it will auto-populate any of this information onto any forms that require that information, such as the listing agreement. Right, but not 100% necessary. I do want to quickly mention this add to my team feature. All right, again, if you are taking notes on today's class, this is not on my notes I sent out. So please make a note to never, ever, ever click add to my team if you are adding a client to your loop. Okay, so again, we never click add to my team when you're adding a client to your loop. What this does, if I were to click add to my team, is it would make that client or allow that client to be able to see everything in your loop that you can see. We of course don't want that. Okay, the general concept of Dotloop is everything is private in your loop until it is shared. And so you only want your client to be able to see what's in your loop that you choose to share with them. Now, it is a really cool feature, this Add to My Team feature. So let's talk about when we would use this. So if you are on the same side of a transaction with another agent in your office, so let's say you're co-listing a property, you're working together, you could add the other agent to your loop here and click Add to My Team, and it would add this loop to that other agent's Dotloop account as well, so you guys can collaborate on the loop and you all would have the same rights and be able to work together. Another great use for it, if you are on a real estate team and your team admin needs access to your loop to help you out, add your team admin in here, click Add to My Team, it will put this loop in your team admin's account as well, so again, they can help you out with that. If you have any questions on that, of course, let me know. Really great feature, but just never for your clients. And let's click Add Person after that long spiel there. Add Person on the very bottom right here, that red button. And it will add your client to the bottom of your loop. If you need to add a second person, of course, you just follow that same process by clicking Add Person again on the top right. And you can always edit this person here by clicking on the 3 drop-down dots on the very bottom right and clicking Edit. All right, while we're down here, let's make sure to assign your role. So where it has your name here on the far right, it'll say None. Let's go ahead and change that to Listing Agent in today's example. All right, so Listing Agent. And now that we have added our people to the loop, let's go ahead and scroll up to the top of our screen to start working on the Documents section. Now this Documents section is where you'll be spending most of your time within your loop. This is where you'll be adding forms, preparing your documents, getting them electronically signed. Now let's talk a little bit about folders. So folders here, so you'll see this option to click Add Folder on the very top right. Folders really help you organize your loop. As you know, there are a million documents that go into a single transaction, and putting them all under one folder, A, makes it difficult for you to quickly find the form that you're looking for and a little overwhelming, and B, it also doesn't help your admin out in your office. Your admin do compliance on your loop, and they check to make sure you have all this correct documents to keep you guys legal and help you guys get paid. So it's really great to help your admin out to organize your loop so that they can easily find everything they're looking for. So it helps everyone, win-win. All right, so first of all, renaming the folder. In the very least, you'll have one folder within your loop. If you chose a template when we were creating the loop, you may have already multiple folders in here. To rename your folder, all you'll do is go to the very far right of that folder name and click the 3 drop-down dots. Okay, to the very far right of that folder name, and click Rename. Once I do that, the cursor will start blinking to the left of the word folder, so I can rename that, let's say, Listing Folder. So you just start typing in the word listing. Once I do that, I can either click Enter on my keyboard, or I can click in the white margin to make that new name stick right away. Now let's try adding a folder. So on the very top right, you will see the option to add folder. So let's go ahead and click that. When I do click that, it will give me this new folder here, named New Folder with a cursor. So I can either use the arrows on my keyboard to go the other side of New. Of course, you can highlight the word New to replace that with Sales Folder. All right, so let's talk about how to utilize folders best. So if it is your listing, the best thing to do with folders is to have 3 folders. Okay, a listing folder with all your initial listing documents like signed listing agreement, residential property disclosure signed by the seller, etc. So the sales folder, okay, that'll be your second folder. That is best to have things like the fully executed contract, fully executed residential property disclosures, okay, everything involved in the contract is best to go into the sales folder. And last but not least, okay, I'm clicking enter on my keyboard to make this new name stick. Last but not least, I can click add folder one more time, and I have a new folder here where I can change that to closing folder. And again, I just double click to highlight the word new to replace that with the word closing. In the closing folder, you'll want to add all the documents that go into the closing, our favorite folder, yay. So that'll be things like the closing disclosure, termite letter, and so forth. All right, so that is the best practice for folders when it is your listing. If you're representing the buyer, typically I would recommend 2 folders, a sales folder and then a closing folder. Of course, folders can be used in a plethora of different ways. If a contract terminates, you can add another folder to your loop. So you could rename this one, let's say terminated sales folder. And again, I just rename by clicking the 3 drop-down dots and clicking rename. And then I could add a new folder for the new contract. Now, a big question I get whenever I teach Dotloop is, when do I create a new folder for a terminated offer and when do I create a new loop? So it's a really great question. So the way that Dotloop works is you have a loop per property that you sell. Okay, so it's based on property, not per client. So if you are representing the seller and you get an offer in and that terminates, you can then simply just create a new folder and add the new offer documents for that new buyer client in that same loop. So if you're representing the listing, okay, if it is your listing and the offer terminates, you can keep your same loop and add a new folder for the new offer documents. Now, if you are representing the buyer and you have a loop and you make an offer and the offer is terminated, you would then have to create a whole new loop for the next property that they put an offer in. Because again, the way that Dotloop works, each loop is specific to the property, not to the client. So hopefully that's clear. I'll actually be showing you in just a moment here how you can copy documents from one loop to another. So if you're representing the buyer and the offer does terminate, I'll show you how you can quickly just copy over the buyer agency and any other documents to your new loop so you can start going quickly on that new loop there. If you have any questions on that, of course, let me know. But that is a very important thing to know when you're creating your loops here. All right, let's go ahead and add documents to our loop. So go ahead and click on Add Document to the far right of any of your folder names. If you're following along with me, I'm going to click on it in the Listing folder. And there's 3 main ways to add a document to your loop. And you'll notice these 3 boxes here. And again, if you're not seeing these 3 blue boxes, I would just do so by clicking on Add Document in red to the far right of whatever folder you want to add that to. Now the first blue box here, it says Templates. So that is adding an interactive form by selecting one from Templates. That means you're grabbing a Dotloop document that you can simply start typing in. Okay, this is typically the easiest way to do it. So just to quickly overview that, and so I can show you a couple extra tips on that, let's go ahead and click on Templates on the very first blue box. So go ahead and click on that blue box that says Templates. All right, on the left-hand side, you will notice a bunch of red form folders going down your screen. Now, your folders will look different than mine. These are added in by your wonderful office staff. Okay, so I have North Carolina and South Carolina forms. Your forms will be different and they will look different too. So that's normal. Don't be alarmed. But the first step is on the left-hand side, all these red form folders. I can use this gray search bar to the right of all these form folders to scroll down to find the folder I'm looking for. Now I'm going to grab a listing agreement in my loop. If you'd like to follow along, feel free, or you can grab any document you would like. It will all apply. So I'm going to click on the form folder on the far left in red that I believe would have a listing agreement in it. So that was step 1, is selecting the form folder on the left-hand side. Step 2 is I'm going to use the search bar at the top of my screen here to search for the form I'm looking for. Okay, so if I'm searching for a listing agreement, I could type in the word listing, let's say, because I know that's in the title of my listing agreement. And it will pull up all the forms that have the word listing in that title. Once I find the form I'm looking for, I can simply click the checkbox to the left of the form name that I'd like to bring in. You can also check multiple at once, just a heads up. You can even go to other folders and keep selecting. And click copy. Here we're clicking copy on the bottom right there. And steps on how to pull this document into your loop is on the notes that I sent out. So those are written down for you. I know that is a couple steps there. So that'll help you out in that. So I'll click copy here. That will give me a nice green check mark that that was pulled in, and I can click OK on the bottom right. And there it is, that form that I need right in my loop. All right, so I'm simply going to click on that form name to go into that form and edit that right away. Now when I do so when I click on that form name, it will bring me up to this autofill box here. Now this autofill box is our best friend, so please never click this X on the top right. Okay, this autofill box will allow your clients to electronically sign, and it will autofill a bunch of information in for you. So first of all, in this top roles section here, you do want to make sure that you see your client's name in line with seller 1 and seller 2 if that applies. If you do not see them in line with that, no worries. You can just click where it says select person and select your client from the list here, or simply click add person to add that client if you do not see them on this list. If you're working on a listing agreement, you may need to have your name in line with listing agent, so make sure that is also done. Again, these roles are hugely important. You or your clients will not be able to electronically sign without these roles being assigned. So that's huge. Property information here. So any information that you put in this autofill box here will autofill not only onto this form, but every future form that you bring into your loop. So it's a huge time saver. Not to mention if you're a newer agent, it's very overwhelming looking at these forms, knowing where everything goes, and this kind of helps you with that. All right, if you fill in the information here, it will autofill onto your loop. Onto your form. Dotloop knows where all this information goes on your form. Now you will notice up here again there is the option to search by address or MLS number, so you can search for this to pull in all the property information from Google or from Dotloop. So that can be a useful tool. You can just start typing in the address or MLS number and it will help you out with that. Just so you can see what it looks like, I'm going to fill in just some information on the property address section here. Just so you can see what it looks like when it autofills. All right. And of course, as you scroll down, there's a bunch of other information that you can fill in as well, and it will put this onto this form and all future forms. So for now, if you can scroll to the very bottom of your screen and click autofill on the very bottom right. It will take you to your form, and it will have some yellow fields for you. In case you're wondering what those yellow fields are, that means those fields were autofilled. Now I'm not going to go into how to prepare a Dotloop document like this. I do go into depth on that in the Dotloop 101 video towards the end of that. If you would like to check that out, feel free. I'm just going to show you a couple additional cool tips on here to take it to the next level. So main thing, if you hover over More on the top black toolbar, you will notice an option to click Host in-person signing. Now what that is, right, so typically with Dotloop, right, you prepare a form and you need to email it to your client for them to electronically sign. Well, if you were on a listing agreement with your computer or your tablet, filling out the form next to your client Wouldn't it be nice if you could just then pass the tablet or computer over to your client so they can sign right next to you? Well, that's exactly what the host in person signing does for you. So hovering over more and clicking host in person signing, which don't right now, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. First of all, I'll ask you if you would like to save, so I'll click yes. But it will then ask you which person you would like to sign. So if you had multiple clients, that would really apply. So if you want the husband or the wife to sign first, and you can click continue. Now once you do that, once you click continue, you then pass the device over to your client and they can click to electronically sign the form. Now, just the biggest thing to note, when they pass your computer back to you, it will have logged you out of your Dotloop account and logged your client into their own free Dotloop account. So just so you don't look confused and you don't look like you don't know what you're doing when you get the device back, you will need to re-log into your Dotloop account specifically if you need to continue working on anything in your loop. So again, if you do host in-person signing, it does log you out of your Dotloop account and log your clients into their new free Dotloop account. Okay. So that is how you would do host in-person signing. Very cool feature to utilize. And for now, let's go ahead and click on this back button on the very top left of your screen. So we're going to click on back. It's kind of hard to see. It's a little red back arrow to the left of the form name on the black toolbar. Okay. And that will take you back to your loop. Now what I want to show you next is the make a copy feature. Okay, and this will go into editing PDFs as well. All right, so let me tell you why you would need to know what we're going to do next. Okay, so Dotloop does give you the ability to edit PDFs, which is a really cool feature that Dotloop has. So a PDF is typically a document that you can't just click to start typing in like the one we were in, right? It doesn't allow you to edit any fields. So if you have a document in your loop that is a PDF, it's really helpful to be able to edit that, to add signature fields to it, initial fields, so that your client can electronically sign if they decide to, up and go to Florida on vacation in the middle of their transaction. Okay, another really great use for what I'm about to show you is it allows you to edit a fully executed document. Now, if you've been using Dotloop for a little while, you will know that if you try and edit a form that is already fully signed, it will try to erase all the signatures. We, of course, do not want that. Okay, so if you do need to edit a form that is fully signed, I'm going to show you the best practice on how to do that, okay, without erasing all signatures. So to do that, you'll want to come to the far right of the document name, where you'll see the 3 drop-down dots on the far right. Okay, anytime you see those 3 drop-down dots, it does mean more options. And you'll see the option to make a copy. Now this make a copy feature has 2 main purposes. The first purpose I just spoke about, which is it will allow you to turn the document into a PDF, so you can make changes to a fully executed document. The second main feature of this make a copy feature right here is it will allow you to copy forms from one loop to another. So again, if you're representing the buyer and the offer terminates and you need to create a new loop, you can copy over the forms via this make a copy feature. So before I show you this, I do just want to send out, I do have a little 10-minute video that focuses on this, because I know this is all a bunch of information. So if you'd like to go back and watch this short little 10-minute video or save that when you actually need it, definitely handy. Excuse me. All right, so let's get started on that. So clicking on the 3 drop-down dots on the far right, I'm going to click Make a Copy. And it will give you 2 options here. One, it will give you the option to copy as a Dotloop document. You'll want to do that if you're copying it from one loop to another. But in this example, let's go ahead and click on Copy as a flat PDF, and these are the keywords: signatures preserved. Okay, so we are trying to make edits to a fully executed document without erasing the signatures. So go ahead and select the second option that says copy as flat PDF, and we'll select to loop. Once you select to loop, that button on the very bottom right, it will show you all of your different loops in your account, and you can search at the very top of your screen here for the form that, or for the loop that you're currently working in. Okay, so you'll want to search for the same loop that you're currently working in. It looks like I've used the same address more than once in this class, so hopefully this is the right one. All right, so again, you're simply putting in the search bar the same loop that you're currently working in, whatever you titled the loop for today's class. And you can select which folder that needs to go into. Now I'm going to select sales folder just to make it not confusing. So once I click sales folder here, I can then click copy. It'll give me this nice checkbox, and I can click OK. All right, so now I can see that it copied that form into my loop into the sales folder, but now it's a PDF. Okay, and again, I'll explain a little more why this is such an exciting feature, that make a copy feature. So if I go ahead and click on that new form name, and of course if that's confusing having the same form in here twice, you can always rename the form by clicking the 3 drop-down dots on the far right and clicking rename, just a heads up. So I'm going to go ahead and select that new form that I put in the sales folder to open that as a PDF, so I can show you how you can edit PDFs. So again, we are using our imagination that right now this form is fully executed. However, it's fully executed, so I can convert it to a PDF because my client let me know that, let's say, his name is not correct on the form, or the address is slightly off. You know, whatever little change you need to make, right, you can do so by this method. Okay, so first of all, we did the make a copy feature. So now to edit a PDF further, all you'll need to do is come up to File, Add on the top black toolbar. And it gives you all these options of fields to add to the form. So in this example, I'm going to show you how to change, let's say that the name is incorrect. So first thing I'm going to do is go to Add, and I'll go to Add Strike Through from that list. Now when I click anything from that list, it will start following my mouse around like you see on my screen. Okay, unless you have a touchscreen computer or unless you're on an iPad or tablet, just a heads up, you'll just need to simply click to drop that field. Okay, so line it up how you'd like it and click to drop it. Okay, so we struck through the incorrect information. Step 2, let's come back up to Add on the top black toolbar. And go to Add Text from that drop down so we can add the new correct information. So add text. It will then start following my mouse. I can line it up wherever I'd like it, and I can click to drop that. Now, as you'll notice, this text box is super small, so if you need to expand this text box, you can simply click on that text box, then hover your mouse over it. You'll notice a little right triangle on the very bottom right of this text box that you can then click on to drag to expand that box, however big you'd like it. All right. And once I have that text box the size I'd like it to be, I can then type in the correct information. Now, as you know, any changes that you make to a fully executed document have to be initialed to make that stand true. So next, you'll come up to Add again. And this time we'll go to Add Initials. Okay, and the initial box will start following your mouse. Now, just a little more advanced tip. If you do need to lay more than one initial box on your form, Okay, let's say you need to delay 2 because there are 2 clients, or you're laying a whole bunch all the way down the form. If you hold Shift before laying the text box, it will allow you to then lay a second one right away. So if I hold Shift on my keyboard and then click, it will still be following my mouse, so I can then click to add a second one. Okay, so again, if you hold Shift and then lay a field, it will then continue following your mouse so that you can lay a second one, and so forth. All right, you will notice that actually on the bottom right here, it does give you little shortcuts like that, if that helps you. Let's say we accidentally laid a field in the middle of our form, like this. Okay, so how you get rid of fields too is you would simply click on the field, and then you can click this X on the top toolbar. Okay, on the top black toolbar. Again, these fields will, or this toolbar will only display once you click on the field. You can then click X and it will remove that. Just a quick tip. Now, when we're laying initial boxes and signature boxes, this is a very, very huge thing that you'll need to note. You always have to manually assign the field. Simply laying the initial box is not enough. Your client will not be able to electronically sign. Dotloop just doesn't let anyone sign a field. Makes sense. You always have to tell Dotloop who is allowed to sign that field. So, and there's a little cover, let me move it up. So if I click on the field, the initial field that I just laid, you'll see the options that you can assign field. This is an absolutely necessary thing to do. Okay, so I click assign field. It will then show me this drop down of all the people that I can assign to. Of course, you can click add person if you don't see the person on that list. But typically you should see your client already on that list. So I can go ahead and click my client's name. And it will then show me that it's assigned. Okay. So I can tell it's assigned to them because it has the client's initials in print. Okay, of course, when it's electronically signed, I'm sure you've seen it by now, it does look like a cursive font with a time and date stamp. So if I were to print this out, it would be a blank box, just a heads up. But I can tell that that is properly, my client will be able to electronically sign that because I can see his initials. So really big thing to note. If you can see your client's initials in here in print that looks like that, that means I set it up correctly so that my client can electronically sign. So a very, very, very important feature, or thing to note rather. Of course, you can add signature boxes and initial boxes as well going down the field, or going down the form here. Okay. So we're going to talk about why editing PDFs is so helpful in Dotloop in just a moment here. For right now, if you'd like to go ahead and click save on the very top black toolbar, the very top right, just save, not share. Save on the very top left, right. And let's go click on that back button on the left-hand side. So it's a back button to the far left of the black toolbar, to the left of that form name. And that'll always take you back to your loop. So what I'm going to show you now is how to add other ways to add documents to your loop. Okay. And to do that, of course, as you know, we'll click on Add Document to the far right. Oh, and by the way, if you clicked on Back out of the form and asked you to share, just click No. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So again, we're going to go ahead and click Add Document to the far right of whatever folder name you'd like to add further forms to. And you'll notice there's 2 more blue boxes. So let me tell you about when you would use both of these blue boxes. First of all, let's talk about Browse. So Browse, you'll see it says search and add any PDFs from your computer into this folder. So if you are working with an agent on the other side who doesn't use Dotloop, right, you might get this a lot, that you get emailed a PDF version of the offer to purchase. Okay, so now you have that and saved on your computer, and you need to add that to your loop. Okay, clicking Browse right here will browse your computer so that you can add that to your loop. Another scenario that you might need this feature. So let's say you're not a whole big fan of technology, or let's say maybe your clients aren't a fan of electronic signatures. You'll run into that. They don't trust it. You can use Dotloop to type up the form, and then because it looks more professional, and then bring it on your appointment to have your client's hand sign that. Okay, so just a heads up, if that is the method that you choose, you can always print out the document. You can print it out by clicking on it and clicking File as well. But if you click on the 3 drop-down dots, the far right of the form name, you will see the option to print from here. So let's say I printed out the document, bring it to my client so I could explain the listing agreement. They hand sign it, and now I'm sitting back at my desk in my office, and I have my entire listing file in my hand. Okay, I need to get it into Dotloop. Step 1, what you would do is you would scan the documents to your computer. Okay, so I scan it to my computer. Now step 2 is I would simply click Browse. Okay, of course I clicked Add Document first. I would click Browse from here. It will browse my computer where I can go to wherever I save that on my computer. And I can double click on that form, or that file, to bring that in right away. So pretty easy to go ahead and bring in documents into my loop. Okay, it will then allow you, editing the PDF is just like we worked on that last form. Okay, if you were to need to add fields to that PDF, you would be able to right away add initial boxes, signature boxes, and email that to your client to sign right away. You can of course drag and drop files as well if you're feeling a little fancy. Okay, so if you have your files open, you can drag and drop that in. Okay, now I do like to do that. All right, let's talk about the last and final option here of how to get forms into your loop, and that is the email feature. Okay, and I do have a short video on this as well that I'll send you out in just a moment here, but I would definitely go ahead and just watch on my screen so that you can take a look at what this is. I really like this feature. Okay, it says attach the files you need to an email and send them directly into this folder. Now the main time that we would use that is if you have, let's say, the agent on the other side who doesn't use Dotloop, they just simply emailed you the document. So now you have an offer, let's say, as a PDF in your email, and you need to quickly get that into your loop. This is the quickest way to get a document or an attachment from your email into your loop. So to watch that, there's a couple steps, so bear with me here. Let's see. All right, so to do that, you would go into your email and open up the email that has the attachment. Okay. So actually, I'm sorry. From Dotloop first, what you would need to do is select this email option. Sorry about that, guys. Not to confuse you. So we would select on email right here, this last blue box, and it will generate this crazy long Dotloop email address that is specific to this folder in this loop. So what I would do is click copy to clipboard. All right, and I will copy that email to the clipboard. Okay, it copies that. So now I'll need to go over to my email, and I see this email here that the other agent sent over to me, and I need to forward that. Now, if you are working with your KW Gmail account, it will look like my screen. Okay, and you can forward by simply going to the bottom of your screen and clicking forward. Okay, it gives you the option to forward from these 3 dots up here and click forward. Okay, if you're using a different email system, no worries. Okay, you'll just need to simply forward that email. Now, when I click forward, it will show me the forwarded email. I can see the attachment right here. And in this to field, I'll want to right click and paste in that crazy long Dotloop email address. So again, I just right clicked and click paste, and it pastes in that crazy long Dotloop email address here. All right, now when I click send, what will happen is it will ignore all the verbiage in the email, okay, and it will only forward in any PDFs attached to the email straight into my loop. So when I click send, all right, it tells me messages sent, so I can go back to my loop to make sure that worked. Now when you go back to your loop, it doesn't just automatically appear. Okay, you will need to refresh your page in order to see that come into your loop. Okay, and to do that, you would simply click on this arrow in a circle, depending on what browser you're in. I'm in Chrome. By the way, Chrome typically works the best with Dotloop, Chrome and Firefox. But on the very top left, you will see an arrow in a circle next to the back button on your browser. It typically takes about 30 seconds or less for that document to come in. So when I click refresh on the very top left, I see that now that emailed offer to purchase is now in my loop. Okay, so that is the quickest way to get documents from your email right into your loop. That has to be a PDF only. Okay, Dotloop only accepts PDFs. If you have a JPEG file, so like a picture file of the earnest money check, for example, if you just Google JPEG to PDF converter, you'll be able to get a free converter and convert that picture file to a PDF so you can add that to your loop as well. If you need any help with that, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can help you do that as well. Now I know that email feature I just showed you, I know that was a whole bunch of steps there, so let me send over, it's a short 10-minute video that walks you through that again so that you can pause it and try it on your end. So here you go, email into Dotloop. Right there, so that'll walk you through how to email straight into your loop, and it will also show you how to email into the template section in here. Okay, so there is a second way to email into Dotloop. So do check that out. One other video I'd like to send over to you is form templates before I wrap up today's class. So let me send that over. Okay, one last video. Sorry, I'm inundating you with links here, but they're really great tools. So form templates, what I'm sending you here, is actually one of my favorite features in Dotloop. It does allow you to create templates. So let's say in a listing agreement, there is a lot of the same information that you put onto every listing agreement. Well, you can create a template from that listing agreement. You can fill in all the information that's used on mostly every listing agreement. And you can then add that listing agreement that you have partially filled into every loop to help save you time. Okay, so that is a really handy video. Feel free to check that out. If you are watching this recorded, feel free to email me at support@scottleroymarketing.com and I can send that over to you. Again, put attention to my name, which is Leah. Alright guys, if you have any questions on all of this, please feel free to let me know. I'm happy to help you through all this and help make your Dotloop experience feel comfortable and learn all of these cool tips that you have been learning. I hope you have a great rest of your day and happy looping.